aspect of the government is to make expenditure or finance the projects of the government. That means if the government has developmental projects, say roads, highways, culverts, bridges, flyovers, railway, tunnel, whatever. So the government has to finance those projects with the amount realized from the public or the business entities or different tax-paying entities. Because if the government depends on loan from other countries of the world or international organizations like the IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, etc., government has to pay it off after a certain period of time. Then it has to pay off the principal amount and the interest. And there is a risk. If you take loan from international organization or World Bank or IMF, whatever, you have to pay off the principal amount along with the interest and that amount at a certain percentage. But the risk is when you are paying it off, may have to pay off a bigger amount of money or higher amount of money or larger amount because of the reason that whenever you are taking the loan, you are taking it in dollar terms, and whenever you are paying, you are also paying in dollar terms. So because of the exchange rate of fluctuation, the exchange rate may not be same after 1 year or 2 years. In that case, you have to pay larger amount of money, whatever you took from that organization. So that is the risk. But if you collect your revenue from within the country, in that case, you don't have to pay it off because this is a mandatory fee in most of the things. So whenever I ask him what a tax is, then the answer should be a tax is a mandatory fee be paid by the entities which are subject to payment of taxes. So this is not in exchange of something or in exchange of any service to be provided by the government to the public. So if you say that I am paying taxes to the government, the government has to pay in exchange of that tax some service or some products, etc. It is not actually like that. Tax is not to be paid to the government in reciprocity of any other product. That's why you have to remember that tax is something which is mandatorily to be paid by the people, the government, without expecting something in return of that. But you can say that, okay, your
No.
হ্যাঁ ভাইয়া শুনতে পাচ্ছি, স্যারের মনে হয় নেটওয়ার্ক হ্যাং করছে। স্যার বের হয়ে গেছে, আবার আসতে হবে।
আমি তো মনে করছি আমার নেটওয়ার্ক সমস্যা।
না না, এটা স্যারের।
দিয়ে দিব গেলে মানে শনি রবিবারে
কি মিউজিকটা তো আমার কাছে।
তাই আমি খানও হবে
সব মিউজিকটা নিয়ে আসছি আমি।
ভাই এটা কি আমার ইয়া করতে পারবেন? এটা স্ক্যানিং করে দিলে হবে নাকি আপনার থেকে নিতে হবে?
আরে ওইটা স্ক্যান করে গ্রুপে দেওয়া আছে, দেখবেন আপনার রোল নাম্বার ওয়াইজ দেওয়া আছে, কালকে রাতেই দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। আর হচ্ছে যদি ফার্দার কারোটা দরকার হয় কালকে না দিয়ে কালকে মিটিং আছে আইসিবিতে গিয়ে লাভ হবে না, রবিবার দিন দিয়ে নিয়ে এসে।
তো এটা আমি কই পাবো? আরেকবার যদি মেলটা ফরওয়ার্ড করতে মানে ইয়াটা ওই যে
আপনি আমাকে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপে পার্সোনালি নক দেন, আমি দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। রোল নাম্বার এটা দিয়ে দিয়ে দিচ্ছি।
So what I was saying is that tax is a mandatory charge or fee to be paid by the entities, but in exchange of that from the government. But you are finding that the government is providing you with many public products. What are the public products or public goods? Public goods are roads, highways, culverts, bridges, flyovers, tunnels, etc. Whatever. So these are actually opportunities given to you, which are actually made by the government. The tax is collecting from you. So if there is a park in the city, you can use the park, you can go to the park. If you move along the streets, this is also made by the government. There are street lights which are actually used by people when they go along the pavements during night time. So these are the facilities that the government is providing to its citizens, and so these are actually established. That's why you may not be able to have the benefit of those developmental projects directly, rather you can have the benefits indirectly. That means your next generation could also be benefited from the government projects. So that is the usual way of developmental expenditure of the government of a particular country. So must remember here one thing, that is very simple question, general question, that if I do not get something from the government, why should I pay taxes? It's a very normal question, common question. I'm paying taxes to the government, but I am not getting anything in return of that. Why should I pay taxes to the government? What is the justification of payment of taxes to the government? It's a question. And if there is a question like that, what should be the answer? You tell me the answer. But how would you answer this question?
Sir, first of all, tax is one of the main source of revenue of Bangladesh government, and tax is that a compulsory payment or compulsory charge by the government to the individual and company and other entities. And the main purpose of tax is reducing several inequalities, developing our economy and growth of our countries. So the purpose and the main theme is development and the welfare, well-being of our people, of the Bangladeshis. So we are paying tax for the purpose of return. The return we are getting is we are using roads and highways and many hospitals, tunnels, bridges and many things. So all those things are built from our taxes. So that's why we are paying tax. So without condition, without any exchange, we are paying tax just for the development or well-being of our country. And our country, that means is specific and individual for every person, every company who are enjoying all those opportunities developed by the government. and government is meeting all those costs from our taxes. That's why we're paying that. So it's a must for us. And as it's without any condition, the people are paying the taxes and enjoying the advantages developed by the government, and that's why it's happening. So there is no reason then when people will not get any return on that time, people will be agreed to pay taxes. Thanks, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you. You understood it very well. I just share one item with you. Whenever you are asked this question, that I am paying taxes to the government, or I am not having anything in return of that tax. What is the use of paying taxes? Why should I pay taxes to the government? Whatever you have said, that is okay, correct. Developmental expenditure, individual benefit, inclusive benefit.
Yes,
that is,
you
you
said
are a
very
proud citizen
well.
of the country, so whatever you are paying to the government, that will stand for the welfare of the people of the country, of the citizens of the country. That is a must. But another answer is very genuine answer. Genuine answer is the tax is the cost of sovereignty of the country. You must remember this. It is not written in the book, but I am telling you that tax is the cost of sovereignty of the country. You are living in a sovereign country. Bangladesh is an independent country. We have got our sovereignty. Our sovereignty cannot be violated by foreign aggressors. No other country is coming violate our sovereignty. So that's why you are doing business in Bangladesh. You are conducting your profession in Bangladesh. You are serving an organization in Bangladesh. Receiving salaries from that organization.
তারপরে ফরেন অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটে জব করছে,
Out of the business.
সাথে সাথে সিএ করছে এখন
Having income from your profession. So nobody is
ফার্ম না
interfering. And
আইসিবির
nobody is
সিইও
coming
প্রধান
here to participate in the service of a company. That means nobody is competing for a job in a company here. So that's why this is the benefit of sovereignty. And the tax you are paying to the government is the cost of sovereignty. So for the cost of sovereignty, you have to pay taxes. That's why there is no reciprocity of payment of taxes. Nothing you can expect from that. But you are getting something of goods, you know that. The public goods that you are getting, and those are at the cost of the taxes you are paying, and some other people are paying. Okay? Okay. Understandable to you?
Yes, sir. It's very clear.
Okay. Objectives of taxes. What are the objectives of taxes? Why the government actually realizes taxes? First of all, raising revenue. Government has to raise revenue. Without revenue, the government cannot run smoothly and efficiently. As I said to you before, the government has to incur two types of expenditures. One is developmental expenditure and another is revenue expenditure. So for both the expenditures, government has to earn revenue and it has to increase the revenue, raise the revenue from different sources, from income tax, from VAT, from customs, from supplementary duty, from regulatory duty, etc., and even from non-tax revenue. So there are some revenues which are not tax revenue, rather they are called non-tax revenue. So for example, postage stamp. Postage stamp is an example of non-tax revenue. Okay. Second objective is regulation of production and consumption. The government has to regulate production and consumption. So why the government should regulate production and consumption? You can ask that I am a citizen of this country. I want to do a business, a manufacturing business. I want to produce something which I wish to. Why should government intervene in that? So, same is the case with the consumption. I am an independent citizen of this country. Buy something from the market. This is a free market economy. I want to buy something at a certain price, whatever it is, according to my ability. Why should government regulate the consumption? So, what are the objectives of regulation of production and consumption? There are certain reasons why production and consumption should be regulated by the government. Because if you produce something in Bangladesh, you are trying to sell it in the market, or you are trying to export it to the global market. So, if you produce something which is not actually needed in the market, in that case, what would happen? There would be a competition, and you have to sell the product at a lower price. Each and every producer has to lower their price, and sometimes they would be required to sell their products at a loss. So the demand of a particular product has to be determined first, and the government knows which product is in demand and which product is not in demand. Say for example, if we have sugar in our country, abundant sugar in our country, but if you again produce sugar, then what is the use of it? There is no use of it, because supply and demand of sugar is at the equilibrium point. So that's why there is no necessity of producing extra sugar in the country. But if there is a demand, that means there is a demand for sugar, but the supply of sugar is not sufficient enough to meet the demand. In that case, of course, you are allowed to produce sugar in order to meet the demand. That is necessary. Otherwise, we have to import sugar from other countries of the world. So government does not want that. Whenever we have got the capacity in our country, in that case, we don't have to import that product from the foreign country by spending a lot of foreign currency. So same situation exists with the consumption. If you want to consume a product, yes, you have the right to consume a product, but whether this is necessary or not. If you want to consume a product, say for example an imported product, if an imported product is inevitable in our country, of course you have to consume it. We have to import the product, and the consumers would have to buy that product at a certain price. Say for example, we need sometimes onion, we need sometimes wheat, we need sometimes, soybean oil, etc. from other countries. We have to buy them because these are very common necessities, everyday necessity in our country. So that's why we have to import them, and the consumers are to buy the product. But in case of a fragrance, say perfume, if you need use the perfume, yes, you can buy it, but at a very higher price. That is not very much essential or inevitable in your everyday life. So government can regulate that. If we have to import perfume from France, say for example, we have to spend foreign currency, and the reserve of foreign currency of the government is diminished. That's why government can regulate. Government can impose a very high rate of import duty on that product so that people are discouraged to buy that product. The posh cars or the luxury cars, those are not actually needed in our country. But people are trying to buy those posh cars or luxury cars, and they have to pay a supplementary duty of 500% or 600% on the value of the car. So that is a step taken by the government in order to discourage the purchase of those luxury cars in our country. So that's why the government has got the regulatory function of the production and consumption. So government always wants the domestic industries to grow, because we can grow our domestic industries in Bangladesh. In that case, we don't have to depend on importation of products. But if we do not grow our own industries, in that case, we have to depend on importation of the products from other countries. So it is very necessary for us to invite the entrepreneurs, invest in productive sectors, so that we can grow industries which are needed for the domestic market. Say, for example, the cement. Once upon a time, cement was not available in our country. Could not produce cement here. But nowadays, we can produce cement in our country. And this cement is very much necessary for building works, construction works, etc. That's why a lot of companies have emerged using cement. And we can buy the cement at a lower price. Lower price means we don't have to pay import duty on the value of the product. And we don't have to spend for any currency for the purchase of the cement. So there are so many items, say sanitary items. We can produce the toys here in Bangladesh, the basins, the various items of kitchen, various items of washrooms, etc. So we can produce those items here in Bangladesh now. But once upon a time, we had to import them from countries. So since domestic industries have grown in Bangladesh, we are now using the products of those companies or factories, and we are self-sufficient in supplying the product to the market. How those industries actually emerged, government gave them some benefits, incentives, etc. Maybe a tax holiday scheme was imposed, given to them. That is, for a certain number of years, these companies were granted tax holiday. That means a company which produces, say, sanitary items would be able to enjoy tax holiday for a number of 7 years or 10 years. So in that case, these companies actually lost. An import duty was reduced on the raw materials which are necessary for producing the final product. So that way, government gave benefits. And domestic industries in our country. And another objective of taxes is stimulating investment. So stimulating investment, it means that the people who have money, or the entrepreneurs who have money, who have saved money in the country, have to be allowed to invest in productive sectors. Stimulate investment. That means not that they are allowed to put their money in the fixed accounts of banks and to have interest on that yearly, but they have to be encouraged to invest their savings in productive sectors so that they can grow some other products and can supply those products to the market. Say, for example, if you invest in poultry industry, if you invest in dairy industry, those will help the market a lot. One moment. was saying is that the people may be encouraged to invest in dairy industry, poultry industry, fisheries, etc. So that demand could be made on those items in the market. So this is the strategy of the government, policy of the government. If you invest in fisheries, definitely your income would be exempted or would be subject to a reduced rate. So there is a benefit given by the government to the people, so that people will be encouraged to invest in those industries. And this is also necessary for earning an income of the marginal people. In a small industry, definitely it could be a domestic industry of your product, and the family would be benefited, even the local community would be benefited. In that way, if you produce egg, say for example from the poultry, definitely you can meet your demand, as well as you can meet the demand of the local community. You can sell the products in the nearby market, and that would actually help a lot to the people. So like that. So this is for stimulating investment. And in case of big investors, that means whoever can invest in a big industry, they are also encouraged to set up their industries in particular products which are necessary for us or which can be exported to the global market. And government knows that the global market has got demand for a particular product. Government has the understanding of that. In that case, government will allow you to produce a certain number of items for exportation. So if you say that, okay, I will produce fragrance here, I will produce wine here, I will produce, say, cosmetics here, not for the domestic market, rather for the global market or regional market. In that case, government would allow you to do that. It's because of the fact that you are meeting the demand of the global market. Government knows how much, a particular product is needed. Say, for example, the leather shoe in the global market. The total demand or the total size of the global market for leather shoe is 183 million US dollars. So whether it is sufficient enough to meet the global demand or not, the government has got the statistics. So if it is seen that the amount is not, or the value of the product is not sufficient enough to meet the global demand, in that case, government can allow a company to be established here, or can encourage some of the entrepreneurs to invest in the leather shoe industries here for exportation of the products to the global market. So that's is the policy of the government. And then another objective of taxation or taxes is reducing inequalities of income. If you want to reduce the inequality of income means that the incomes of the people are not the same. So some people are earning a higher amount of money and some people are earning a lower amount of money. Some people do not have any income or have a subsistence level of income. So that's why in order to reduce the inequality of income, government can apply its tax policy. How to do that? It can be done in the way that a particular area can be given exemption from taxes. Say, for example, the National Board of Revenue in Bangladesh issued a circular saying that the people of the hilly areas, if they are engaged in economic activities, they would be exempted from payment of taxes. The hilly areas means the people or tribal people and living in Bandarbhan, Khagrachari, Rangamati, etc. If they are involved in economic activities, in this case, they would be allowed exemption from payment of their taxes. Why? Because those people who are not involved in economic activities, those people who are not actually very keen in producing something, producing vegetables or producing dairies, producing poultries, or engaged in fisheries, etc. They were not engaged in productive activities. So that's why government has given them incentives so that they can engage themselves in economic activities so that they can earn their livelihood without the assistance from the government or without having assistance of the subsidized grains, subsidized daily necessities, etc. That's why this circular was issued by the National Board of Revenue, and it is still in existence. And sometimes you will see that when a disadvantaged area or deprived area is given incentive by setting up of industries or setting up of a factory or setting up of economic zones or export processing zones, etc. So the disadvantaged area, if it has got an export processing zone, in that case, the factories which are located in the export processing zones would be given a tax holiday. So that way, government can encourage the entrepreneurs or the businessmen set up their farms and also encourage general people to invest their small amount of money in different schemes. And in that way, the inequality of income be reduced. Because if you can earn something from your economic activities, in that case you can earn your livelihood. So that's why at least you are not depending on assistance from the government. Rather, you can earn something. And wherever you try to earn more and more from your economic activities, or you can actually increase or enhance your business activities, in that way your earning will also be enhanced. So economic activity, as it increases, will also yield you some financial benefit. And also government has got a policy which is the more you earn, the more you pay tax. So that means if your income is higher, you have to pay tax at a higher rate. And if your income is lower, you have to pay tax at a lower rate. So in that way, the inequality is also reduced. Because whenever you have got a higher income, and if you are paying taxes at a higher rate, in that case your disposable income will be reduced. And if you are earning an income which is not that high, so in that case you are paying taxes at a lower rate. So in that case your disposable income would be not as for the disposable income of the first person I mentioned to you. So when tax rate is 30%, you see, if your income is 100 taka, your tax rate is 30%. So your disposable income is taka 70. But if my income is 50 and the income tax rate is 10%, in that case I am paying taxes on taka 50 at the rate of 10%, which is taka 5, and my disposable income is taka 45. So here in that case, my disposable income is 45, your disposable income is 70. If you think proportionately, your disposable income is less and my disposable income is higher. So that is the policy that the government actually employs to people for reducing the inequalities of income. And the objective of taxes is to promote economic growth. Promote economic growth, it means that you have to have more production, you have to have more export, increased. Government has to take measures so that different types of economic activities are on the rise. Not only one type of activity, other various types of activities are being stimulated. Not only production, but also export. And of course, the development of human skills so that people export it to other countries or in foreign currency, and they can remit their wages to Bangladesh. But at the same time, you see, the production has to be of the demand of the community or the demand of the nation. Say, for example, rice production. In our country, rice is a staple food. We need to have self-sufficiency in rice. If we do not produce rice, in that case, we have to import rice. And government does not want to import rice for people. Rather, government encourages the farmers to produce rice. So that's why the government is paying them fertilizer at a subsidized rate. Also electricity at a subsidized rate. And water at a subsidized rate as well. Seed is also given to the farmers at a subsidized rate. And the government has set up different institutes, organizations for innovative activities. So for example, to innovate new types of rice, high-yielding rice, etc. The park is there, Bangladesh Agriculture Research Council is there, and various institutes, of course, BINA, Bangladesh Institute for Nuclear Agriculture, under the Bangladesh Agriculture University is there, and doing research in various activities. That's why these are the activities of the government for production. And new products are also encouraged to be produced in our country. Not only rice, but also other products, so that we can be self-sufficient in those products as well. Maybe in our protein requirements, fish is being produced in our country, meat is produced in our country, and people are encouraged to engage in fishing. So these are the schemes of the government, projects of the government. And for exportation, of course, government is encouraging exporting products like ready-made garments, pharmaceutical products, leather and leather products, nuclear products, and motorbikes, bicycles, furniture, pictures, etc., and ceramic items, tiles, and of course porcelain products. All these are actually produced in Bangladesh, and those are aimed at being exported to other countries of the world. A lot of people are engaged in the production sector, and as you know, the ready-made garment is the highest export earner from Bangladesh among all the products, and leather and leather products are the second largest export earner for Bangladesh. Utensil products are the third largest export earner, and so many other products are also coming up, and that way, economic growth can show. And of course, we are actually expecting 7% economic growth this year. So, if situation is propitious for us, we'll be able to achieve it. And in that way, that Bangladesh is going to a developing economy very soon. We have already been recognized as a developing economy, but it will be implemented from 2026 as a developing economy. No longer be treated as a least developed economy, rather developing economy. And by the year 2041, we will be treated as a developed economy. That is our target. And at the same time, we are a smart economy. So these are the missions and visions of the government of Bangladesh, and hope that they will achieve that. And Bangladesh has already emerged as a very good economic force among countries in the region, and it is called one of the next 11, and it is the 33rd largest economy in the world, and we hope that by the year 2025 it will become the 31st largest economy, and maybe by the year 2030 we will become 23rd largest economy in the world. That is of course the prediction, but we can as well definitely can achieve that. Then another objective is development of backward regions. How to develop the backward regions through policy of taxation. It is also possible that you can set up some industries, some economic zones, some export processing zones in underdeveloped areas. In that case, that backward region will be developed. So let us suppose that in one area, if you want to set up an economic zone, definitely that area would become the forward area. You will have communications, easy communications. You will have transportations. You will have employment of the people of those areas. So people will be well off, and the cost of production in those areas will be lower compared to other areas of the country because of the low wages. So if the cost of production is lower, in that case you will be able to compete with products of other countries in the global market. In that way, this is more or less very beneficial for the producers in Bangladesh. Even the entrepreneurs who are coming from other countries of the world would also be interested in producing products here. And you will see so many foreign entrepreneurs are there in the economic zones and processing zones. It is because of the reason that they are getting the laborers at a lower price, and the value or cost of the raw materials in Bangladesh is of course low compared to other countries. So the disadvantaged areas in the country would be developed that way. Let us suppose that the northern part of Bangladesh, like Soyadpur, once upon a time there was no flight between Soyadpur and Dhaka, but sometimes we found that only one flight is going to Soyadpur and coming back to Dhaka in a week. But nowadays you will see a lot of flights are going to Soyadpur every day from Dhaka. It's because of the reason that there is an export processing zone in that area. So for the transportation of the products and for the movement of the people from Dhaka to that area, or from that area to Dhaka, for entrepreneurs, for investors that are going to that place and coming back to Dhaka, and for that reason, there are a lot of flights. So this is an example of disadvantaged area could be converted to developed area taxation policy. It means that in all the export processing zones or economic zones, the industries which will be set up, they will enjoy tax holiday for a number of years. That is the benefit they will be getting out of their investment in those areas, and some people even employment. That is the benefit. And you know that every year we are having 2.5 million people to the economy to provide them jobs in the government sector.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
You have to pay taxes yourself. So income tax is imposed on you, and you have to pay the taxes to the government. Nobody else is bearing the burden of the tax imposed on you. So that's why this is a direct tax. And in terms of income, indirect tax, the burden is not borne by the person on whom it is imposed. Rather, it is borne by other people. So, for example, VAT, value-added tax. If you are buying something from the supermarket, in that case you are paying VAT. This is a distinct example of ultimate consumer. When you are paying the VAT, if you are the ultimate consumer, you have paid finally. But the supermarket, it also paid VAT at the time of purchase of the goods. So it paid VAT that time to the government. But this VAT, it's realizing from you. Ultimately, the burden is on you, not on the supermarket. So that's why VAT is an example of indirect tax. And this can also apply to import duty. When you are buying a machinery from a foreign country, you are paying the value of the product along with the import duty imposed on that. That means if the import duty is 20%, and if the price of the product is 100, then you are paying 120. But when you are selling the product to the distributor or the wholesaler, you are realizing the import duty as well as the value of the product. So you are realizing 120 along with a certain percentage of profit that you are making out of the sale of the product to that particular person. So you are not bearing the burden of the import duty. But the other person who is buying the product from you, whoever he is, whether he is wholesaler or distributor, he is bearing the burden. That's why it is an indirect tax, not a direct tax. So that's the difference between the two, a direct tax and indirect. But in the practical context, direct tax is difficult to realize, and indirect tax is easy to realize. Because whenever you are imposing indirect tax, person is ready to pay the tax on the ground that it is not his burden, rather it is the burden of the consumer or the wholesaler or the retailer, whoever he is. So ultimately, the consumer is the bearer of the. So that's why the other people who are engaged in the process of importation of the product or selling the product and realizing VAT, they are not very much concerned about the VAT or the import duty because it's not their, it's not their money from their own pocket. But when income tax is imposed on a particular person, it has to be paid from the pocket of the individual taxpayer or the company or whatever. So the difference is very distinct between the two. And when you are imposing tax on an individual, it is really difficult to realize the amount of tax from him because nobody wants to part with his pocket. So it's very natural and it's very common for every human being in the world. So this is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax. But in every country, direct tax is of much importance because government always gives importance to direct tax. And direct tax is to be imposed on various entities, individuals, companies, firms, association of persons, into undivided families, on artificial juridical person, and any other entity, whatever. So direct tax is of paramount importance for the government. Government always try to increase the amount of direct tax. And there are some restrictions as well from the side of the World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization also gives importance on direct taxes because indirect taxes they want to reduce all the time. Every country they try to convince it of reducing the rate of indirect tax because if the rate of indirect tax is lower, in that case goods can move, services can move from one country to another country very easily. And that is the objective of the World Trade Organization, easy and free movement of goods and services from one country to another country. But if there is an imposition of indirect taxes at a higher rate on certain products of a particular country, in that case, the good or the product cannot move from that country to another country. So that's why it's very difficult